The art. For me, creativity is really about combining things that aren't necessarily thought of together. And that's where something new is born. That's when you're really inventing. And I think that's what we're here to do.
Right. It's like you gotta love the dirty, noisy, cutting and shaping from nothing to a useful thing. And that's, in fact, that's where I feel like the success exists is in the process. It's the whole journey thing. It's not the top of the mountain that was beautiful. I mean, yeah, it is, but it's really getting there. That was the beautiful part that makes it so spiritual.
So Baltimore is like a tale of two cities. We've got extreme poverty going on all over the city, predominantly on the east side and the west side. And we also have extreme wealth. And it's really a picture of the kind of broken and segregated community that we live in here. And, part of my work is really trying to heal up that community and trying to bring the pieces together. In every colonial invasion that has happened on the planet, there is a group that's put between, that are promised the keys to the kingdom at the top if they can oppress and keep down those at the bottom. Well, there's another way, because there's pain at all points of this triangle. But if we begin to fold those points to the center, it creates a well and wellness, because what's needed at the top is found at the bottom, and what's needed at the bottom is found at the top. And if we bring them together and start to replicate, we are creating a pattern that actually creates wellness, because the isolation at the top is just as devastating as the statistics that you've seen. We call this new pattern Cojado. Really, if you think about the top paradigm, the dominant paradigm, it's individualistic. It sees self as an individual idea. And the bottom is forced to be collective. When was the last time you heard the words white community put in the same sentence? You don't hear that. But if we can move from this small idea of one to an idea of one that incorporates us all, where oneness is what we're striving for, then selfishness creates a beautiful outcome, not a horrendous outcome. In Zulu, there's a word for this. We don't have an English word, which tells you something. The Zulu word is Ubuntu. And what Ubuntu means is that we are responsible for each other's well-being. In other words, we are all one, like cells in a body. So Cojado is an idea that came to me. It's actually a Zulu word, and it actually means the long, sustainable view. And so a tool, an idea came to me, which is a game, because how do we learn all this? We learn through dominoes, Monopoly, and all of those games that teach us to be in that masculine paradigm. I said we need a new game, one that's bringing the feminine paradigm that is the only reason we are here today. And that's really the concept of the game. How do we pull these pieces together? By simply creating assets and minimizing waste everywhere. And this is how you play. You already know how to play the game just by looking at that picture. Align 3 pieces and you create assets. Only put 2 together, you haven't activated them. Leave 1 hanging, don't leave anything hanging. That's how you play. Cojado is a game that's unlike virtually any other game on the planet. Most games are designed so that you're playing against your opponents, and your goal is to shut them down, not give them any opportunities or moves, and create a lot of waste that ends up in their side of the game. Cojado really flips that whole paradigm, and it says that you're playing towards a collective goal with your components, not your opponents, and that you're working together to achieve as high a score, or metaphorically creating as many assets as you can. And unused pieces or unused parts of pieces are considered waste. So you're trying to utilize everything, very much like that native concept. So you're trying to use all the pieces, and you do that by creating an elegant solution in which everything is connected. It's called the Nurture Form Community Bench, and it's called the Community Bench because it's about bringing people together. And what better way than to put something beautiful out in the world that asks people to sit and be in contact with each other. We took a normal bench design and actually removed aspects of the bench in the design process to make it flexible on the back, flexible on the seat, so that when you sit down in it, it receives you, it holds you like a piece of furniture. It's about creating economic development opportunities for people in communities that don't have access to using their hands to make beautiful things. This bench that we've created, called the Nurture Form Community Bench, in itself is what we're trying to do. It's flexible, it's giving. It not only gives in terms of when you sit in it, but it's also giving back to the community by training folks to use their hands to build this bench and eventually become owners of the company that we created around it.
If you have the right training, I know when I studied, I just learned how to lay out and measure and mark and control information, read blueprints, draw things, construct product on a two-dimensional scale, because then you're controlling information. And then you first learned how to lay out, measure, mark. That was like your big thing. And then you learn how to create a perfectly true, I think I told you this, you made a board, perfectly square, true, and two faces were parallel. And you did this with all hand tools, furniture quality board. Right. You have to, some people do that. You can't really learn it. You have to be trained how to see it. Just fighting that, they're just fighting and working hard and sweating and for me, it was like I was establishing and controlling to an end. So it's like everyone has their different learning curve.
So what does this look like on the ground? It begins with a vision. This is Old Town area, and this is what we conceptualize Old Town to be in, 2025, 8 years from now? And we do that by aligning the pieces in a way that links infrastructure, bricks and mortar development with human development to equal economic development. And we lay it out on the street so that you can have a table to sell your wares, you can then move into a booth, and then you can move into the marketplace. So the entire ladder is visible to you in any second. And we do that by creating the Cojado Incubator, which spawns that activity and supports it. And if we grow this incubator, then we will grow this prosperity and transform Old Town to the vision that we're talking about. And what's at stake to actually play this game? The first time I played with just men, the first dude put his piece down with his hand shaking like a leaf. The second brother pushed away from the table and said, no, I'm just gonna watch. They were petrified because we were never taught how to play this game, and we're afraid. So the problem is not the community, which is often blamed for the ills. The problem is the structure of the system that leaves communities hanging. And we need to wrap those communities up. And if you blur your eyes, this looks like a heart. And we need to fill that seam and create the circulation required to prosper and create prosperity out of these communities. And Huey said to me, after playing the game a couple of weeks ago for the first time, he said, I used to want to flip the pyramid upside down because I wanted our chance to be on top. He said, but Cojado taught me it's not about revolution, it's about evolution. And if you want to run fast, run alone. If you want to run far, run together. And that's Cojado.